watching CramerSez.
Well, I have no idea what the hell happened there. That was supposed to be a video from the EU talking about the issue of trans and how none of it promises what it's supposed to be doing. The studies that the trans people have been using to tell us to shut the fuck up, that we don't know what we're talking about, the studies have made it clear. Well, there are no studies. And the studies that are true, the American studies that showcase that the operations, the mutilations, the drugs, the castrations, all the treatment that they've done does not help these kids at all, has shown no effect in making them better. Why? Because cutting their genitalia off isn't the issue. That doesn't solve the problem. The problem is up here. Now what they've realized is the vast majority, a number of these trans kids, are deeply into the autistic spectrum. And those that are farthest down the trail are sometimes up to 60% autistic in certain studies. So folks, we've got to start trusting the science, right? And realize that at some point, we've got to take these issues head on. Welcome to the show. My name is Kramer. This is the CramerSez Project. For those of you that don't know what we're trying to do here, we're trying to get a grassroots movement off the ground, a free news service or a news service of the American people that people are trying to get a hold of me. Let me silence that. That's not gonna work, Drew. Thank you, buddy. We are trying to build a grassroots news service that delivers truth on a daily basis that you can trust. And the reason that you know that you can trust it is because if we end up getting paid anything, it will be by you. And you'll only buy it if you think it's trustworthy. And the moment we go untrustworthy, like the mainstream media has gone, well, guess what you do? You pull your money. And we know that we've lost the guidance, that we know that we've lost our way. That's the only way it can be done, folks. It can't be done the current way that it's being done. The current structure of our mainstream media is from the top down. It allows people that have an agenda to drive everything you see, hear, and are programmed by, every bit of it. I spent 40 years in that industry. I'm telling you, they call it programming for a reason. The piece that we were watching there was very interesting. I think that what it showcases, well, and we started to watch it. Let's see if we can go back. I'm gonna try one more time. Let's see if we can go back to it. Still not working. Okay, well, at least it's consistent. That the treatments that we're doing for these kids are not giving them any benefit. We're going to great effort to make society change. Change all the rules for everybody else for these children. And what we're learning is that it's not their body, it's their mind. This is the sickness of the mind. This is what this study shows. The American study is saying the same thing, but people don't want to talk about it. Why? Well, because it would refute everything that they stand for, and they're not going to do that. So here we are, folks. We're sitting at the edge, I guess is the best way to put it, a precipice of, do we continue down this path where we give a nod to crazy like it's normal? Or do we start calling it out like we've been calling it out? Do we start being the bullies that we need to be for ourselves? I don't want to bully anybody into doing anything that, they don't want to do. I'm not that kind of bully, but I am a bully. I'm a bully for myself. I stand up for myself. I posted on X here a piece. There was a black gentleman, and I'm going to have it on the show tomorrow night, actually, but a black gentleman was in the lobby of some kind of high rise in New York, and it said on there, asking white people for ID. Now, what he was doing, and I understand why he was doing it, he was doing it because black guys sometimes will come into a building and white people will go, hey, what's your ID? Do you live here? Do you live here? Do you live here? Okay, understandable. I get it. Why? Well, because, especially in New York, the vast majority of crimes are committed by black youth. So this black man, now these are facts, not a racist, facts, right? If the facts hurt your feeling, I'm not the racist, you're the idiot. Because I'm not here spouting about the black guy. The black guy started it. And he based it on race. He did in his video, and we'll show it tomorrow night. He came, he came up to a guy that was about the same size as him and started to harass him. And the guy said, no, I'm not doing what you want. And the black guy stopped his elevator, stopped the white dude's elevator, and wouldn't let him proceed. Now, I'm okay with having a conversation. You want to ask me something, you want to ask for my ID, that's fine. But when you start, keeping the door from closing, letting me go where I want to go, and you start demanding that I step out and have a word with you, whether you're creating fake content or not, I don't give a shit. Whether you're doing this just to get a laugh, I don't give a shit. You're now playing men games. And that's what I said. This fake dominance bullshit that you're doing. You see, the white guy doesn't want to mess with him for one reason. He doesn't know what this crazy fucker's going to do. And all he knows is everything that he's ever seen on the news about some crazy black guy that comes out of the blue, starts screaming and yelling at you for whatever reason, and then you end up with a knife in you, right? Now, we've heard a lot about that. That's happened time and time again. We just had a young lady stabbed on a train for no reason at all. Died. Nobody did anything. This is not about race. These are about the facts. So the statement I made is try that fake dominance bullshit with me. At that point, you're playing a man's game. And what I said is that if you play stupid games like that, you get a guest spot in your local obits. Now, people are, this is how timid the left is. They cannot read through the lines. They can't, all they see is, I think I've got a way to make this guy look bad. Okay, so try and make me look bad. And so the way that they made me look bad is that they said that I'm whitey. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm not as tough as I think I am. I'm probably not that. You're probably right. 60, I'm probably not. The question these guys have to ask themselves, and a lot of them said, you don't understand it, you're not part of it, and you're thinking you're tough. Listen, folks, I'm a rare breed. I was raised in the toughest streets of Houston, Texas, black and Hispanic communities, when the Koreans were moving in, or the Vietnamese were moving in from 76. Yeah, it was tough down there being a white kid. You had to fight for everything. Now, guess how I learned how to fight? Guess where I got my mentality from, of not letting somebody walk up on you. You don't let somebody ghost you. You don't let somebody get in your face and start spitting at you, because the moment that happens, you've past that moment, you've lost control. No, I'm going to be in control the moment you walk up on me. People have tried it. The older I get, the harder it's probably going to be to do. But folks, that's not trying to be a tough guy. That's men telling other men what the rules are. These are the rules. You can be as tough as you want. You can play all the games you want. But you play that game with me, I ain't playing. You don't let me go, and you don't give me a smile and say, hey, man, I'm just fucking with you. Maybe we can be friends after that. But you hold that there for a second. You make my heart twinge just a little bit, my butt pucker, thinking that I'm about to get stabbed. I've seen the movies. We've seen the news. We've seen the live footage of it happening in real time. So it's not racist of me to think that this angry black man that's yelling at me, for whatever reason, I don't know, is he getting content? Is he trying to say? I don't know. I'm not in your head. I'm not in your world, and I don't want to be. I just want to be left alone. Don't you? Don't you just want to be left alone? That's the whole thing. We just want to be left alone. That's really what the American dream is. Just leave me the fuck alone. If we can achieve that, perfection. Leave me the fuck alone. And knowing when their business is none of yours. That's a good lesson for a lot of people to learn. And on the other hand, when you see somebody who's potentially in need, who's, just fallen from their chair and onto the floor of a bus, have the humanity at least to go over and risk it. They may be trying to fool you. They may be playing possum, but they may not be. And that's the society that we're supposed to be able to live in, a high-trust society. We're not there. We are not in a high-trust society. We'll talk about that next, right after this.
You're watching the CramerSez Project.
Global news with local views.
CramerSez returns after this message from our partners.
To learn more about the CramerSez Project, our mission, and how you can become a part of it, please visit thecramersezproject.com.
The price of plastic is going up, way up.
It costs more for everything they want to do. It doesn't make any economic sense.
And no, it's not because of Trump's tariffs or the wars around the globe. It's because corporations like Walmart and Colgate have swallowed the left's recycling fairy tale, hook, line, and sinker.
I'm Paul Chesser, director of the National Legal and Policy Center's Corporate Integrity Project.
At this year's shareholder meetings, the National Legal and Policy Center decided to do something radical, like saying the quiet part out loud.
We're bringing these proposals to bring truth to where there's been a lot of lies and light where there's been a lot of darkness.
So what exactly is the left's big lie? That endlessly recycling plastics is sustainable, magical, and saves the planet. Now, here's the truth.
Companies like Walmart and Colgate are following a playbook by the environmental left who believe that there's an infinitely circular economy that can be created by endlessly recycling plastics.
Spoiler! The left's magical circular recycling economy is actually a black hole that swallows big profits and spits out higher prices.
It costs more for everything they want to do. It doesn't make any economic sense. Forcing recycling into the whole process of plastic packaging is bad for the consumers, it's bad for the shareholders, and it's bad for the planet.
Logic isn't what these companies are after. They want praise from activist investors and ESG cultists. Meanwhile, real shareholders like the NLPC are left to clean up the mess.
The political left have driven these corporations leftward on the recycling issue and specifically with plastics packaging.
The NLPC proposed a revolutionary idea. Use science and economics before you blow millions on virtue signaling. Genius, right?
We are calling for an injection of truth and objective scientific and economic analysis that can be considered seriously and drive down costs as opposed to driving up costs that these shareholder proposals from the left have brought in.
And what's the goal? Simple. Lower costs, fewer emissions, and actual results. Not glossy brochures full of woke buzzwords and mythical outcomes.
It's unrealistic, and so our proposal calls for truth in recycling in their policies. That will help reduce the cost of their plastic packaging. It reduces the weight, it lowers emissions, and it does actual environmental improvement by having a real scientific and economic analysis rather than a propaganda approach to plastics policies.
You'd think that would be obvious, but in today's ESG boardrooms, common sense is considered more dangerous than toxic waste.
We act on behalf of ourselves and our fellow shareholders to put true economics and scientific research in all the policies that corporations institute. That improves shareholder return.
And that wraps up this episode of the NLPC Report. For more information or to get in-depth reporting on this story and more, please visit the National Legal and Policy Center at nlpc.org.
What happens up here in Washington, D.C. is we don't talk about it. I will give a speech this week on the floor, my third one, about this radical terrorism, Islamic terrorism. And I'm taking heat from a lot of people, even from some of my people, because, hey, this is an election year. Well, who cares? We're not going to have an election year in a few years if we don't start talking and fighting back now. Now's the time.
You're watching CramerSez.
At least one of the guys in Washington, D.C. is understanding what's happening next. One. We're being tested on all sides, folks. All sides, all sides. The bullshit where everybody's looking to be a victim. They all want to monetize on YouTube and Facebook for being the victim, being the victim, being the victim. And at the same time, they don't want to be the victim. They continually call you the oppressor, but they want to monetize being the victim. It's a little sister in the back seat. I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. That was Tommy Tuberville talking about the Muslim problem. Folks, we've got an issue in front of us that is bigger than any other issue that we've ever faced in this nation. We have been infiltrated. It wasn't through a Trojan horse, though. No, it was shoved down our throat. Obama did this to us. This was the plan of a post-American world. If you remember, he was getting off a plane, he was caught in a photograph, and he was reading a book. Post-American world. Living in a post-American world. Why would I remember that all these years later? Yep, because I'm a strategist. And those are the little details that tell us how a person thinks. We find out, that somebody goes to see a call girl on a regular basis or has a mistress on the side. We know that person has the ability to justify just about anything in their mind. This is also an intelligence trick. Now, and again, what I do for a living, these are all the tools of the trade. So when we, talk about these things with what the Secret Service and what the CIA and other intelligence agencies have done over the years, folks, it's no different than what happens in business on a daily basis, just with a little bit of a twist. Same techniques, same strategies, they have not changed. Now, if you don't think that we're going to have a Muslim problem in this nation soon, you're not really being honest with yourself. Think about it. Look at what's going on in Great Britain. Does that look like the people of Great Britain are enjoying it? They're breaking into, if you haven't seen it yet, they're breaking into the migrant hotels and burning them down. Why? Because they're done. But more importantly, they're being told that they can't speak. What is that the first sign of? Why isn't the left in this nation outraged? Why aren't the liberals, the true liberals in this nation, speaking loudly with a bullhorn, screaming and yelling at the British government, what are you doing to your people? Do you know who the only people on the planet that are calling for their free speech right now are others that understand the importance of it? The ones who just censored you don't believe in free speech. If they did, they wouldn't censor you. I don't censor anybody. I don't have to. I read everything. Folks, I got to tell you, some Democrats, some raging lunatics have left me great messages that have been, I saw something from a different angle and I go, you know what? I can use that. Thank you. I appreciate it. They didn't intend that, but that's what I do. That's what we've all got to start doing. You see, over the last few weeks, these Democrats have done to one thing and one thing only. What are they upset most about right now? Are they upset that a bunch of Somalians ripped off the people of Minnesota for up to $15 billion? And if it's happening there, it's happening everywhere. Because that's the kind of thing that spreads around. These people like to make a lot of money. So if they made $15 billion there, I can guarantee you go to Houston, you go to Los Angeles, you go to San Francisco, you're going to find it over and over and over again. I keep telling you people, these people aren't real smart, right? But they are ruthless. Once they learn a trick, yeah, they're like, you ever seen a dog fucking another dog and trying to get them separated? That's what they are. You can't separate them from their stupid. We are in a situation, folks, where we have been infiltrated by a group of people that, because the election of Mamdani in New York, they're now thinking that for some reason or another, the Constitution is dead and they can start speaking freely and telling us that we're going to fall under Sharia law. No scare tactic here. We're not doing that. And I want to be real clear. This is not a threat. I do not want to, I'm not going to go out my door today and go harm anyone. That's not my style. My style is to stand my ground, know my rights. And I'm telling you this, if you try to shove that Sharia law bullshit down my throat, you'll die. Or I'll die. Somebody will die at that point. Now, before we get there, I think that our government should heed the warning of Tommy Tuberville that we all understand that it's a fucking problem. And we're tired of dealing with the liberals on this bullshit who will side with anybody that will aid them down the road, regardless of how dangerous that group or that person is to them or the rest of us. They don't give a fuck. Remember, the Nazis, who did they side up with in the Middle East over there? Everybody. Remember? Yeah, the Ashkenazi Jews and the Muslims. Yeah, why? Because they were all trying to kill the same people. Folks, nothing has changed since 38. Nothing's changed. The same people, the same families, everybody's still in the same issue or in control. They want this nation. We're the last one standing. Australia's gone. Canada's fucking lost. Lost. Nothing's going to happen up there. Right? Great Britain's lost. France is lost. Germany's lost. Ireland's on the teetering edge. They're at least trying to fight back. The Western civilization, aka white people, is falling. It's not an empire, it's just this group of people over here. But there has been a concerted effort over the last 30, 40 years to destroy everything that is included in the white culture. And then it's been weaponized, right? The white culture has been weaponized against itself. You've lived lives of privilege. We've worked our asses off. You've taken from others. No, we offered inventions to the world that changed people's lives. We were compensated. I keep hearing this thing about you got to be, a thief if you're a billionaire. You got to be a thief if you're a millionaire. Nope. Steve Jobs is probably the best example. Do you know what Steve Jobs did? Steve Jobs became a billionaire $5 at a time because that's what he made average on each of those iPhones in that first series. $5. It's like the oil companies that make billions, pennies at a time. I think it's interesting that our governments complain about the oil companies, who on average, depending on what the price of oil is, their range of profit on a per gallon pour is somewhere in the ballparks, by the time everything is said and done, is somewhere in the ballparks of 3 to 4, maybe 12 to 18 cents. It depends on where what we're talking about price-wise and in what range. But anyway, somewhere in that ballpark. The max they're going to make, that the oil companies make per gallon, is 18 cents profit. They went and found it, they went and drilled for it, they went and refined it, and then they delivered it to us. And they created the processes that allow us to easily put it in our tanks. They've done everything. And they're only making 18 cents per gallon max. Meanwhile, your greedy state governments, look at what they're doing to the price of gas. How much are they taking out of every gallon? 18 cents? No. They're taking a percentage of every gallon. And what that does is adds up. And what you find out is that our state governments are actually, if you looked at it across the nation, they're far richer from the oil industry. Far richer than the oil industry will ever be. Our state governments doing that to us. Folks, we have threats all around, and unless you accept the fact that your freedom and your liberties, and I said this last night in the podcast, the 3-hour 3-hour fun time with Jess last night, is I forgot where I was going with that. You know what? I'm going to go in a different direction. I am going to take a break. I got to get a drink here. I want to say this up front. Somebody had asked earlier, the podcast with Jess will be up on Spotify later, either tonight or tomorrow. So for those of you who ask about that, it'll be up there. And then the other one, if you want to watch it now, it's actually on X, Facebook. If you go through my platform or go through my account, you'll find it sitting there. I'll be right after this. My lips are so dry. See you in a minute.
You're watching the CramerSez Project.
Global news with local views.
From the halls of Congress
Across the nation.
and around the globe.
You're getting the latest news and conservative views.
You're watching the CramerSez Project.
Global news with local views.
CramerSez returns after this message from our partners.
They lied about it. They tried to hide it.
It was 100% unconstitutional. That's what we were saying in 2024.
I could have sworn that yesterday we learned that the FBI tapped my phone.
And today the NLPC has been vindicated by Senator Grassley's document dump, revealing Jack Smith illegally and unconstitutionally spied on American citizens.
Jack Smith spied on members of the United States Senate. What is this, East Germany?
Grassley's document dump has revealed that Jack Smith's team illegally seized call logs from Ron Johnson, Lindsey Graham, Mike Lee, and Josh Hawley in the unconstitutional 2023 Arctic Frost Probe.
From the outset, we said Jack Smith's appointment was unconstitutional. A federal judge vindicated that view. Now we see the connection between unconstitutional prosecutions and illegal evidence gathering.
The NLPC has been on top of this story from the beginning. Follow or subscribe to the NLPC on this platform for more. Or visit the National Legal and Policy Center at nlpc.org.
To learn more about the CramerSez Project, our mission, and how you can become a part of it, please visit thecramersezproject.com.
You're watching CramerSez.
Way back when, in 2022, right before the midterms, I had the pleasure of, and the displeasure of having, being given access to the Hunter Biden laptops. We had copy drives, and we were allowed to, for about, it was about 8 hours, we had access to them to look at the contents. It changed my life forever, folks. It's why I do what I do now at the rate that I do it. I took a year off after I found out what was on those drives. Not the pictures, not the images. We expected that. But it was the other stuff. It was the financial documents, the correspondence. That's what I went to. I wanted to see who this guy was. I didn't care who he was fucking. That was going to be another issue for somebody else. I wanted to find out where the money was going, where it was coming from. And as I read through the documents and realized what was going on, it ran through my head immediately that we were never coming back. The nation was lost. The corruption was too deep. We've been expecting the foxes to guard the hen house. I can't even say it. Guard the hen house way too long. They've gotten way too comfortable. They used to just steal a chicken every once in a while and say, hey, it was one of those foxes, those bad foxes. I'm a good fox. Now they're eating them right in front of us. I went through the documents, and what I realized was the FBI had the same information for 4 years. I'm sorry, for 2 years. Yeah, 4 years at that point. 4 years at that point. 4 years. Nobody had been indicted. Nobody had been arrested. In fact, they had actively tried to hide it and tell us, the American people, through the 51 former intelligence agency traitors, that was Russian, man. You know, Trump and these fucking Russians. These liars expect to keep their security clearances after being the traitors that they are. Folks, we're at a cross point. A lot of people for the last several years have said I'm a conspiracy theorist. I'm not. I'm a strategist. That's what I've done my entire life. I made a lot of money doing it. Corporations brought me in to find out what their problems are, how to get past them, how to get cohesion, right? What's wrong? And to do that, you've got to be a dick. You really do. I don't play the political games with inside those corporations. They try to do it. My contract says I can walk. And it's at my discernment. I get to make that determination. I get to be the one that gets to be offended. Now, it's pretty hard to offend me. But when you get there, it's going to cost you. We, the American people, should act the same way with our freedom. Right? We should take ownership of it. that it has value, that it can't be just given away by opening the fucking border. No, men and women have died, so we have these perceived rights that we have. When I say perceived rights, you know your rights don't belong to you. They're not yours. Somebody else died for them. For you to have rights, you have to die for them or at least defend them with your life, for them to be your rights. You're living on borrowed rights. Somebody else already fought that fight. They either went out there in the battlefield for you or gave their life. But you and I, all of us, unless you've served, you're living on borrowed freedom. Those who stand up and say, yes, I will die for my nation, I will die for my neighbor, I will defend them, they've already done their part. I've said for a long time that picking up a gun is a hard thing to do. It really is. Unless you're doing it in anger. It's probably a lot easier then. I've never done that. I know the difference between letting that go. But there's a range of emotions you have to be able to go through to get to the point where you're going to actively do something of violence. And there's a lot of loudmouths out there. And they say they're going to do this, they're going to do that. And one of the things I keep hearing from a lot of people on the right is, I'm going to get my AR and we're going to head out into the woods. And you're not going to do shit. No, you're not. No, you're comfortable. You're probably 30 to 40 pounds overweight. You talk a big game. You know how to fish good. You know how to hunt good. But you're not thinking this thing out because that's not what it's going to be about. If what I believe is going to happen happens, that we see a period where the lights go out for at least a year, it changes the dynamics of everything. These badasses that think they're badasses because they've never been punched in the face. The vast majority of kids today have never been smacked around. Not one time. They're shocked when you start to do it, when you grab them by the nape of the neck and you start to shove them around. They're surprised. What the fuck are you doing? They've never been laid hands on by anybody, let alone been in a fight. Yet these are the ones who want to go take on everybody. But these conservatives, they've got this idea, and folks, I'm one of you. But I walked through this process, and I want you to understand. You've got to understand. You're sitting there saying, I'm ready to go, I'm ready to go, I'm ready to go. Let's go. When and where? You're not going to show up. Do you know how I know? January 6th. There should have been 30 million people there. There should have been no doubt we were done. How many showed up? Maybe 2 million of us. They rigged an election. You watched it happen in real time. We've now learned who all the players are. Nothing's happened. They inflicted a pandemic on the entire planet. You took the jab. You went to work. You convinced yourself you had to do it. You know, to keep your job. I got to do it. And then what did they do? You lost that job anyway, or you're going to. The economy is tanking, folks. Trump can't save it. I'm not one of those guys that comes in here and tries to tell you, I've got the solutions for you. I'm just telling you what's going on in real time. I don't care what they're telling you over here. I'm looking at all the numbers and all the data. I'm getting all my money out of the bank. Are you trying to cause a panic? Absolutely not. You do whatever the fuck you want to do with your cash. I've been very lucky. I've been very fortunate. I applied myself and thought the American dream was a real thing. I didn't know I had privileges and was oppressing people by creating jobs and working 20-hour days. For 5 years to set myself up, I worked 2 full-time jobs and a part-time job on the weekend. I hear these kids talk. And by the way, my top wage at that time, I think was $9 an hour. Things were different then. You're absolutely right. But if you think that complaining about the situation you're in is going to fix it, it's not. Back to the conservatives who keep yelling and complaining that they're ready to go, you're ready to go, you're ready to go. You know what? You're not. Because the problem isn't in D.C. The problem is right there at home where you are. The corruption in D.C., I work in both realms. Guess what? It starts at home. That's the big league. Your home, that's minors. That's where they grow the people that they're going to send out there. They're going to network these people for 20 years, and by the end of it, somebody at the top, maybe a few, are going to be rich. I've seen it happen. I've worked among them. I know how they think. They're not thinking about you and I. So we know what they've done. They rigged an election. They spied on Trump. They lied on Trump. They released a pathogen onto the planet. Rigged another election. By the way, when I say rigged an election, they rigged the 2016 election as well. It failed miserably. That's why they had to do everything that they did in 2020. Remember, if you go back and you look at what the polling was just the week before, Trump doesn't have a chance. Absolutely not. This is going to be a blowout. It was. Hillary lost miserably. Oh, she didn't lose the popular vote, though. That's not how the game is played. And that's how you got played. Now, here's the thing, folks, and this is where a conspiracy theory does start to rise in. This is how I start with questions. What's happening with what Trump said was going to happen? We voted him back in because we wanted accountability for what happened in 2020. We wanted him to do what we haven't done ourselves. Right? We didn't rise up. We didn't go get people out of their homes and drag them out and ride them out of town on a rail, tarred and feathered. We didn't do that. We expected the people that we hired to do that for us because that's their job, and they're not doing it. And now I got to question Trump. Why are we almost 2 years into your administration and we've got 2 cases that are languishing? Now I hear that Ed Martin's got the wheels churning. But I've got a real hard time being MAGA, 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 Trump, Trump, Trump. Let's do it again in 26 without any results from 2024. I'm just saying. I don't know who's listening. But at some point, either the GOP, MAGA, or the Trump administration had better start delivering some results for we the people. We see all the big deals. We see all the boats getting blown up. We see the awards at the Kennedy Center. I didn't get my invite. Did you get your invite? No, they're living the life. Meanwhile, we're out here struggling like hell. Now, I'll struggle a little bit if I see those fuckers pay. But if those fuckers who made their living, their riches, off of the traitorous acts that they committed against we the people, and Trump's not going to do anything about it, the question is, what are you going to do about it? That's what I've been saying. What have I been getting to? The conservatives with guns saying, go, 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 go. Let's go, when and where. You won't even go to your HOA meeting and complain there. You won't go to City Hall and complain there. You won't raise your voice at your state capitol when they're putting in a power station or one of these data centers, or they're putting carbon sequestration in your backyard. You don't go complain. You talk to your neighbors how, oh, this sucks, but you don't go complain. And you don't go to D.C. in 2020 when it was clear the election was rigged. You didn't do any of that. That's how I know. I know who will be the ones to rise. I know who they are. They're the ones that showed up. Well, I could and I can't. Your freedom and your liberty are at risk, and your fucking job and your mortgage payment are more important. Do you realize where we are in history? I shut down my business for 4 fucking years to concentrate on this. Yes, I was in a position to do that. But now, folks, they're telling us very clearly that, are you seeing what the Dow did today? Did you listen to what Jess and I said last night? Did you hear what we said in that show, what they're going to do? They're going to make you think that the world is all of a sudden getting better. Prices are going to come down and this and that, and wages are going up. No, they're just borrowing more money. even more worthless than it was. Think about it. We live in a world where a penny's not even worth a penny. That's how devalued our currency is. So if you won't go complain at the HOA, and you won't go to City Hall, and you won't go to your state capitol, and you didn't show up in D.C. in 2020, if you won't speak up, you won't stand up. If you won't stand up, you'll never pick up a gun. That's as true as you can get. Those are objective truths. Now, see, this is what you have to tell people. Do you know how they get young men in the military to go do what they've got to do? Train, 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 train. They count on their training. The moment that first round goes off, their training goes in. You know what you don't have? You know what I don't have? We don't have that. I know that for sure because I went and played with some Navy SEALs for an afternoon. Nope. I got killed every time. Yep, by guys who are trained to do that. It ain't the world you think it is, folks. And you got to start getting ready for what they've got planned. I don't deal in conspiracies. What I do is I look at their papers, their white papers, just like Glenn Beck and everybody else do, and I say, what is most likely? What's called Occam's razor. What's most likely to be the outcome of this? Well, the simplest, most common sense answer. They're building data centers around our nation in populated areas because there's water. The water is becoming contaminated. The people around there can't drink it. They're complaining, but the overlords don't give a shit. They need the data centers to control us when they pull their next plan. They always build the new system before the old system falls. Is Trump complicit? Who knows? At this point, it doesn't even matter. It's too far. It's too gone. Our economic system is collapsing. No nation has ever withstood, ever, getting past 250% of GDP. We are now at 350, and they've just fired up the presses again. That's midnight ticking. We're getting closer and closer, folks. And think about it. They've got $36 trillion in debt that they're never going to pay back. How do I know that? They can't. There is no mathematical way we get to ever paying that off. If we could do that, think about this. We would have to generate, just to do it the most simple way possible, we would have to generate an additional $1 trillion in new revenue out of this economy for the next 36 years, every year. Every year for the next 36 years, we would have to generate another $1 trillion in productivity. You think that's going to happen? Nope. Moment that gets unlocked, they tag that, tax that, and before you know it, it's all gone. They can't stop themselves, folks. We're done. The carousel ride is over. I wish I had better news. No, I'm not a black pill artist. That's not what I do. I just come forward with the information that seems most relevant on a daily basis. At some point, the lights are going to go out. It's all they have left. They tried pestilence. It thinned out the herd a little bit. But it created a really strong group of people who said, I ain't doing that shit. They got to work on that next. That's us, the American people. Our heritage is telling other people, fuck off. I ain't doing that. It surprises me that there's not more of it around the country. That you don't speak out more often. Not through violence, but through action. By showing up at meetings in force. By looking through the financials of your city. I can guarantee you, if you doge your city just a little bit, you don't have to be real smart at it. Just go start looking at where the money's going, who it's going to, who it's coming from. That kind of shit doesn't take a lot. All the records are open in your community. You just have to go looking for them. If you did that, you'd find the same kind of corruption that they're finding in D.C. It's everywhere. It's rampant. That's why I'm saying the system is gone. We live in a high trust society, and we've been too trustworthy. We're being robbed blind on all sides, everywhere we go. If we do the math right, and the math applies here, it looks like we've got 18 to 36 months at most. 18 most likely. That's my estimation. I've got some friends that are going a little bit farther out, but I'm saying 18. It ties into the 2030 agenda, folks. And they're using the ways of collapsing cultures and societies that have been used or happened throughout eternity. It's the same story all the time. You allow a certain group of people to control the money, and eventually they will make you so fucking poor and themselves so fucking rich that to escape being beheaded, they just start everything over. They destroy the world that you live in and start all over again. This isn't new. This is what we're going through right now. Some call it the fourth turning. I think there's something more ominous about this one, though. We've got this added benefit of transhumanism that has come in, the issue of Islam in a nation that is incompatible with their religion, because it's not a religion, it's a political machine disguised as a religion. Seriously? You gotta seriously laugh at this whole thing, right? How did we get here? Simple. For the same reason that you're not going to do anything. You haven't so far. Your life is too comfortable. And when they turn out the lights, I can guarantee you that you are going to be far more interested in feeding your kids or feeding yourself than you are in your rights and your liberties and everything else. That's the whole idea of starving people out. That's all they've got left. There's no other options. That's why they were wanting to know just a couple of years ago, how much of a garden you got in your backyard there, Kathy? Remember that? The Biden administration wanted to know if you had a garden, how big it was, and how much food it could produce. Oh, it's for our public gardening program. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Nobody needs to know that information. Nobody in the government cares about how you're getting food, unless it's affecting, something that they're making money from. Then they'll be all over that shit like stink on dog shit. The economics looks like the next 18 months, most likely. Something drastic has to change. As I said last night, they will always build a new system before they demolish the old system. And when they're building the new system, it only makes sense to use old system money because it's worthless. So all of these data centers, the trillions of dollars that they're squandering on these places that'll be used to control us, because that's what it's for. It's not to serve us. It'll control us. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm reading what they're saying, and Trump is looking at this real ID real hard. The real ID is nothing more than a national digital ID. Folks, I'm sorry. I don't know if we got bamboozled or if Trump doesn't understand what the fuck is going on, but for those of us who do, it's time to ask some real hard questions. Why haven't we seen what we expected to see, what we were promised? Accountability. Why haven't we seen it? Oh, it's a plan. You still believing in that plan? I've told you for a long time there's no plan. I've worked with politicians. They're not that good. Trump's pretty good. His team is pretty good at planning out. But still, things happen. You don't know what's going to happen here or there. Traffic jam, whatever, throws you behind. Trump goes 40 minutes late someplace, whatever. I've worked with it. It never goes as planned, ever. And you think that they can plan something out with precision and over years? You're insane. No, what they do is they nudge here and they nudge there. There's no big plan. They know where they want to be. They've told you, 2030. That's what the plan is. That's the only plan I've heard of. And everything that we're doing right now is getting us closer and closer and closer to what their promise of the future should be. Not what I think it should be. What do you think our future should be? Should we think that, like I'm thinking now, that my grandchildren are going to live in a society that is more Black Mirror than American Dream? For those of you who don't know what Black Mirror is, go check it out on Netflix. That's the world they got planned for you. They have to tell you what they're going to do to you. That way, when they treat you like that, and you're complaining, they go, well, we told you we were going to do this. That's how the bully works. It's called Satanism, folks. There's no other way around it. This is the work of Satan. and that's not me. I don't go down that road. I don't go into the theological. I don't go into the spiritual. But I'm telling you, there is something evil in this world right now. When I say that, I mean that from my heart. I'm not the guy that I am today because I was always the guy I am today. I became the guy I am today because I used to be just the opposite of this. I could justify anything. If I wanted something, I'd go fucking take it. I didn't care what it was. I would do whatever it took to get what I wanted. I didn't care who I had to hurt. That's when people, they say, well, you're an old man, you're white. Yeah, test me. You'll see. You may not feel my wrath today, but if you really anger me, and it's not a threat. Nope, doesn't have to be. That's the thing that made me dangerous. That's why when I was a kid, the military was after me. I graduated at 15. I took my ASVAB test. I go take my entry exams for college. Off the charts. No bragging. I'm just a smart guy. I'm gifted. All given by God, right? And the fact that we didn't have a TV in the house. And we had the Britannica and some of the media collection that we were given by somebody in one of my dad's churches. And I had a pass to the library that was within walking distance. I graduated, and folks, by the time I'd hit 15, my dad was a minister, and he was a very strict minister. By the time I'd hit 15, I had turned into a problem child. I didn't want to be told what to do. My dad told me that the worst thing about raising me was trying to discipline me because I was willing to take the beating. If I really wanted to do something, okay, the worst he's going to do is beat me. He can ground me, but the worst he's going to do is beat me. He won't kill me. I knew my dad wouldn't kill me. He might by accident, but he wouldn't do it on purpose. I knew that. So I'd gotten beatings before. So what are you going to do with somebody who's not willing to take a beating? And then on top of that, or somebody who is willing to take the beating. And then on top of that, I had some real anger issues back in the day. I was angry at the world about everything, mainly because I was poor. I didn't want to be poor. Didn't respect my dad on a lot of different reasons because I couldn't understand. He had so many abilities, but instead of enriching himself, instead of going out into the world and getting what he could have gotten, he was just a poor minister who worked with churches that had problems, primarily in problem communities. That's where I was raised. That's where my mentality comes from. So when you come from the streets and you've got an issue with anger and you can't be told what to do, what do you think happens at 15 years old, 16 years old? Yeah, you start getting introduced to lawfare. We'll call it lawfare. Folks, I was not a good kid. I was not a nice young man. I was quick to anger. And it nearly cost me my freedom. With that being said, all of that is under the bridge. Now, unlike a lot of people, I learned my lesson. I realized how quickly my life could have changed because I couldn't control one thing. I was talented at everything else. Everything else in my life has come to me. Anything I've ever asked for, I've been delivered in droves. It's one thing I couldn't control, was my anger. Now, people today will say that, well, you seem angry all the time. No, you've never seen me angry. That's passion. There's a big difference. You can see me yelling, screaming here. I'm still breathing, right? I don't have the fight or flight. You see me get the fight or flight breathing, you better back up. Why am I telling you all this? Because, folks, we are getting ready to move into a world that unless you're ruthless, and can be ruthless at the drop of a hat, you won't survive. You've got to be either well-armed, well-protected, covered or hidden. But even after that, there's going to be a period where even that won't do it. They've dreamed up a world of tomorrow that we're not a part of. They told us what it is. They've told us what their agenda is. And no matter what we do to stop them, they keep marching forward. And the people that we've elected are not stepping up and doing anything about it. They're fighting about Israel. Maybe that's a thing to fight about, But I'm more concerned about why aren't we reversing the Smith Modernization Act that allows the government to lie to us, to propagandize us, the American people? You know, as long as it's not produced in the U.S. Now, when they do that, that propaganda ain't coming back in the form that you think it's coming back. It's coming back in the way that I'd produce it. The stuff that I would do. I would sell you stories. I'd sell you messages. I would make you think that things are happening or not happening, or it's better here than you think it is. Are you seeing that across your social media platforms? Have you seen how great China is? That little pudgy kid that travels across the world? It's propaganda. He's given access to all these places in China? This foreigner? That's propaganda. And where is his content seen the most? Oddly, on TikTok, who's owned by China. China. Meanwhile, Trump's allowing it to happen. That's the question, folks. Am I anti-Trump? Absolutely not. But I get to ask questions as a citizen. And the biggest thing that I get to do is I get to pull my dollars the moment that, well, I realize that they're not going to deliver on what they promised. Have they done it yet? They haven't. So let me ask you this. If they're not going to do it, and this is the whole thing, because I don't have the answer either. I wish I did. I'm 60 years old. I'm not rising up, right? I'm just a voice out there telling you, the canary in the coal mine, this is where we're headed. This is an estimation of the timeline, and it's not based on just my estimations. It's the historical averages. The reason I'm giving you the numbers I'm giving you tonight is because they came from other occurrences of the same exact situation. Nothing changes. The only thing that's a problem are the Americans. They got to get those fucking guns out of their hands. How do you do that? Starve them. You starve them. Now, how do I know that's what they're going to do? Because that's all they have left. Mao did it. He starved out the people that were a problem. Lenin did it. It's been used over and over again, folks. They're just going to turn out the lights. That's the easiest way to do it. And Jess had a great idea. You see, I think what they'll do is I think they'll turn out all the lights everywhere all at one time. Everybody, lights out. And then they'll, broadcasting, we want to announce that Indianapolis downtown has reopened with electricity. We have food, we have water. Well, we're in Los Angeles. We have food, we have water. Come on down. And then when you get down there, you realize you got to hand in your guns. You brought them with you to protect yourself, but once you're there, now you're fucked. You got your gun on you. You're trapped. They open these cities up and, okay, yeah, I want a bath. Yeah, I want a shower. Yeah, those little bungalows over there, they look pretty fucking comfy. We've been sleeping in the woods for 6 months, a year, 2 years. It's good to have a bath. I got a tick below my ball sack that will not stop doing what it does. Woo! That's the world you're going to be living in, folks. That's not hyperbole. What do you think happened in Gaza when Israel did what they did? Do you think business continued on a daily basis? Have you seen the rubble that's left there? They killed everybody. And when I say they, I don't mean the Jews or Israel, although it was them, but I mean man. Men and women knowingly killed men, women, and children that had nothing to do with what was going on. No different than Ruby Ridge. No different than Waco. Where else have they done this? Where else have they sacrificed us? It's easy for them, folks. Now they're getting ready to do it on a mass scale. They are about to give the biggest body count to their God that they've ever given. Turning out the lights would do it. Well, why am I saying this? Am I saying it to scare you? Nope. There's a chance that I know my wife will most likely not survive. I don't think she's going to make it to the end of this at this point. I don't even know if I will. I don't know if I'll see what ends up happening. Based on the science, based on the math, and based on history, it's 18 to 36 months. No, I don't have something to sell you. I don't have some program or some food program to say, go do this. What I'm telling you is you better start looking at the facts around you. You better start understanding the threat around you. Because your individual rights and your freedoms that you believe that are yours, they're not. You're borrowing them from somebody else that said, you're not going to do that to me. And if you try, you're either going to have to kill me or I'm going to kill you. My name is Kramer. This is the CramerSez Project. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you for watching Kramer Says Live.
This concludes this broadcast.
Please follow, like, and subscribe to be notified the next time
The CramerSez Project goes live.